For 7 years, I was banned from my grandkids. A heartbreaking secret revealed at midnight. The clock struck midnight. An eerie silence wrapped around the house, amplifying every creak in the floorboards and whisper of the wind. Inside, Martha sat shivering on the edge of her bed, a labyrinth of memories replaying in her mind like a horror movie. 7 years. 7 years without a single hug from her grandkids. The flickering candlelight cast deep shadows on the walls, but it couldn't dim the fiery ache in her chest. What had gone so wrong? What could be severed ties so brutally? For years, families gathered around tables, sharing laughter, love, and stories. But Martha was banished from that warmth, locked away in a cold, lonely chapter of her life. The old photograph that lay on her nightstand felt like a dagger in her heart. Smiling faces brimmed with innocence, eyes sparkling as they looked up to her for warmth.
Why?
What happened that one fateful day? The date, etched in her brain, was like a chalk drawing on the sidewalk, faded but never forgotten. Outside, the shadows of trees swayed ominously, whispering secrets she desperately wanted to know. People would stare, eyes wide with disbelief, when she tried to recount her story. You'd think someone had taken a sledgehammer to her family, shattering everything into fine dust. Each day brought with it a new wave of despair. Martha felt her hands tremble as she picked up the phone. Should she reach out? Should she risk the silence that followed her every attempt, like a curse? In the background, the clock ticked mercilessly, each tick matching the beat of her racing heart. She felt at the pull to uncover the truth, even if it meant venturing into the unknown. What was that secret looming over her family, like a dark cloud? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With the candles flickering dangerously low, Martha felt the walls close in. The weight of silence was unbearable. What had her family been hiding? The thought that she'd never see her grandkids again felt like quicksand, slowly sinking her spirit. Then, a sudden noise, a crash from the attic. Her heart raced as she stood up, every instinct screaming at her to turn back, to hide under the covers. But deep down, she knew she had to confront whatever dark mystery awaited her in that attic. Could it be the answer to her pain? Would it finally connect her puzzle pieces? Taking a deep breath, she grabbed a flashlight and made her way to the attic stairs, feebly illuminated by the flickering light. Every step felt like a leap into the unknown. The world outside was forgotten, and all that mattered were the shadows lurking ahead. As she reached the top, the stale air choked her. What could be lurking in the darkness? What did the midnight hour hold for her? Martha hesitated at the top of the stairs, the beam from her flashlight cutting through the darkness like a knife. The attic loomed before her, filled with forgotten relics of a life she once cherished. Dust motes danced in the light, swirling around as if mocking her fear. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside, her heart pounding like a drum. The air was thick with the smell of aged wood and memories. Old boxes stacked haphazardly loomed like silent sentinels. She scanned a room, her flashlight dancing across the cracked walls, searching for the source of that crash. Her mind raced with possibilities. What if it was just an old box falling over? Or something more sinister? As she moved deeper into the attic, she noticed a glint beneath a pile of dusty blankets. Curiosity outweighed fear as she approached. With trembling hands, she pushed the blankets aside, revealing an old, tarnished locket. It looked delicately crafted, but the years had not been kind. The sight of it sent a shiver down her spine. What secrets did it hold? She remembered that locket well. Her daughter, Emily, wore it often when they had spent time together. Martha had given it to her, a symbol of their bond. But why was it here, forgotten and neglected? Had Emily hidden it away, along with the memories? Just then, another sound echoed through the attic, a sharp, unsettling noise like footsteps. Martha's breath caught in her throat. She turned, her flashlight beams slicing through the darkness, but there was nothing there. A chill swept through her. The attic was supposed to be empty, but something or someone was watching. She clutched the locket tightly, its cold metal digging into her palm. Her instinct was to run, but a deeper part of her, a desperate part, was determined to uncover the truth of the past. The clock downstairs struck 1. 1 hour gone since she had decided to confront her fears. With renewed resolve, she scanned the rest of the attic. Shadows seemed to breathe around her, shifting and whispering tales both familiar and alien. What else was hidden here? Then, she spotted a small wooden trunk, pushed against the wall as if it had been waiting for her all these years. Its surface was scratched and worn, but it had a locked clasp, not completely rusted over. Martha's heart raced. This was her chance. Whatever lay inside could hold the answers she had been seeking. She pulled at the latch, but it wouldn't budge. Panic surged within her. Why would someone lock such a precious thing away? She felt the locket slip from her fingers, tumbling onto the wooden planks. Just as the trunk finally clicked open, the attic door slammed shut behind her with terrifying force. The sudden sound echoed like a gunshot in the silence. A scream bubbled in her throat as she spun around, heart racing. The flashlight flickered, casting shadows into the corners of the attic where darkness lurked. "Who is there?" she called out, her voice trembling. But only the silence answered her. Martha's pulse hammered as she turned back to the trunk, her fingers trembling with anticipation. What was waiting inside? Was it a truth she wanted or one she feared? And as she slowly lifted the lid, her breath caught in her throat. Inside, wrapped in moth-eaten fabric, lay old letters. A cascade of emotions flooded through her. Who had written them? What did they say about the family she had longed for? As she picked one up, a sudden gust of wind blew through the attic, extinguishing the flashlight's beam. She was plunged into darkness. Then, she heard a whisper, chilling and close. You shouldn't have come here. What had she stumbled upon? And who was there with her in the dark? The darkness consumed Martha, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. Her pulse raced, echoing in her ears. She pressed the letters to her chest, though in this cavern of shadows, she could no longer see anything, only the unsettling whispers that swirled like ghosts in her mind. The cold air prickled at her skin, reminding her that she was not alone. "Who's there?" she called out again, her voice unsteady, cracking under the weight of unspoken fears. But as before, the only response was silence, pressing in like a heavy fog. With shaking hands, she fumbled for the flashlight, praying that it would flicker back to life. She pounded it against her leg, a futile effort that only deepened her dread. The faint glow returned momentarily, illuminating the attic in a sickly yellow hue. Shadows danced wildly, elongating towards her as if reaching out with desperate hands. The whispers grew louder, more frantic. They were not just words but feelings: fear, betrayal, regret. She felt each one pulsing in her chest. "No," she murmured to herself, trying to shake off the suffocating aura of the attic. Martha glanced down at the trunk once more. Would it reveal comforting memories, or would it deepen the chasm already growing between her and Emily? Heart pounding, she decided to take a chance. The first letter felt fragile in her hands, ready to crumble at the slightest touch. She glanced around, the hairs on the back of her neck standing on end as she tore open the envelope. The words inside were spidery and delicate, written in a familiar hand that sent a jolt of recognition through her. It was Emily's handwriting, the same loops and curls that filled her birthday cards. "Dear Mom," she read aloud, the voice in her head sending chills down her spine. "I don't think we can ever go back." The sentences unfolded like a long-buried wound, lifting the lid on memories better left untouched. There was talk of anger, apologies, and pain, words she hadn't expected to read. "I don't want you to forget me," the letter continued. "But I have to hide from the truth, from what you did. Martha's heart thundered. What had she done? And why did Emily need to hide from her? Suddenly, the wind picked up, howling through the cracks of the attic. Her flashlight flickered violently. The whisper returned, sharper now. You need to leave, Martha. You need to go. She could hear the pleading in that voice, and it struck through the fog of uncertainty. Panic surged as she realized she was not just confronting her past, but facing something dark lurking in the corners of this attic, a family's secret wrought with bitterness. The trunk shook as if something inside struggled against the confines of the wood. Heart racing, she took a step back. She had to know what was hidden, what else Emily had left behind. The second letter was crumpled, rebellious against the confines of its envelope. With urgency clawing at her, she ripped it open, but the words blurred in her mind. The ferocity of the past erupted in her veins. There were names, accusations, and a confession that cut deeper than any knife. Martha! The voice cried again, amplified by desperation. In that moment, her flashlight flickered one last time before plunging her into almost complete blackness. The atmosphere thickened with an unnatural presence, the whisper sharper, wailing around her like a tempest. Martha! This time, the voice wasn't a whisper, it echoed, filled with urgency, fear, then something else. Then silence fell, a silence, so profound, it silenced her heart. She took a shuddering breath, the letters still gripping her in an iron fist, realizing she might be on the brink of unveiling everything she had tried to forget. The trunk rattled again, this time more violently. What was waiting to break free? Would the truth lead her to a long-lost connection or a darker secret that could destroy everything she held dear? And as her heart thundered in her chest, she knew she had to find out. But what awaited her in the silence? Who was truly tunneling through her darkest fears? The trunk shuddered again, the wood creaking ominously as if it were waking up from a long slumber. Martha's breath caught in her throat. What had Emily locked away in this forgotten space? A figure danced in the shadows, briefly illuminated by the fading beam of her flashlight. Heart racing, Martha strained to see, but the light fizzled out completely, plunging her into an abyss of darkness. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to leave this cursed attic, but the haunting need for answers tied her to the spot. Martha! The voice, still familiar yet laced with an echo of pain, sounded closer now. It gripped her like a cold hand, tightening around her chest. She felt the air grow heavy, thicker with an electric charge that both terrified and intrigued her. Had she truly been summoned by her daughter, the daughter she thought she'd be lost to misunderstandings and silence? She could feel the cold wooden floor beneath her as she took a step toward the trunk. Her hands trembled, brushing against the rough edges, searching for a grip on her fear. The whispers rose again, swirling like a tempest, echoing the sentiments from the letters: betrayal, loss, love. With a surge of bravery, she leaned down, pushing her weight against the trunk as the lid creaked open. Inside lay a jumble of items, each carrying a memory of Emily's childhood: a worn teddy bear, a scrapbook filled with photographs, and, buried under everything, another letter, the last letter, she hoped. Her fingers shook as she reached for it. The envelope felt cold, almost alive under her touch, its words waiting to cut deeper than the rest. She pulled it out, noticing the trembling script that spelled her name, Mom. No, a knot twisted in her stomach. The whispers had changed. They transformed into urgent pleas. The air around her electrified, palpable with dread and despair. Martha, listen to me. The voice echoed again, stronger, demanding, threading through the cacophony of shadows. With trembling hands, she tore open the envelope, and her eyes scanned the page. The ink was smudged, as if written in a rush, or perhaps through tears. Mom, if you are reading this, it began. Then something has gone horribly wrong. She grasped the edges tightly, the words blurring as hotter tears dotted the paper. There was fear, promises broken, and a whirling confession that collided with every unspoken word between them. Emily had known something that put their lives in danger. Her heart raced. What could be so dangerous that Emily felt the need to warn her, even now? Suddenly, the temperature dropped. A cold gust swept through the attic, wrapping around her waist, and she felt an icy breath against her ear. "Leave," it hissed, but Martha could not leave. The trunk trembled violently now, rattling as if defying her to turn away. She had come too far to back down, even as her instincts screamed at her to escape this frightening vortex of regrets. The light flickered to life just as the whispers crescendoed into a frightened scream. "Martha, I need you to trust me. You do not have much time." With a deep breath, she steadied herself. She had to finish reading, had to know if this was a desperate cry for help, a warning, or possibly the key to uncovering the truth about her daughter's fears. But just as she read the final lines, the attic door slammed shut with a thunderous bang, reverberating through her bones like the crescendo of an orchestra announcing the final act. And the darkness. She felt the walls closing in around her, and the weight of the letters pressed heavily on her mind. What had her daughter foreseen? Each revelation unspooled deeper questions, stirring a storm of confusion and urgency within her. Would she unravel the entire truth, or unleash a darkness that could shatter whatever remained of their frail bond? The shadows loomed closer as she whispered, "What do I need to know, Emily?" And from that darkness, a chilling silence awaited an answer that might change everything. Fingers trembling, Martha pushed through the chaos in her mind. The letter. She had to focus on the letter. Each line pulsed with urgency as she forced her eyes back to the page. The last few words were echoing in her ears like a taunt begging to be deciphered. "I'm scared, Mom. You have to know." There's a darkness that the trunk let out a spine-chilling creak just as the door shook again, as if someone was trying to get in. Panic coursed through her veins. She glanced up, half expecting to see Emily standing there, but only shadows greeted her. Whispers slithered around her, drawing her back into the ominous embrace. "Martha, please, it's so important." The air thickened, pushing against her chest like an unyielding weight. She twisted the letter again, her heart racing when she noticed a smudge that looked eerily like a tear. Beneath the erratic flickering of an old bulb, she squinted to make out more words. "Whatever you find, do not trust him who," she whispered into the gloom, the darkness swallowing her voice. Was Emily warning her about someone? The thought sent icy fingers crawling down her spine. Just then, the attic settled into an unnerving stillness, the eerie quiet amplifying her heartbeat. For a split second, she thought she heard a shuffle, followed by a barely audible sob. Martha, that familiar, pained voice again. She turned sharply, a chill inching up her neck, her flashlight flickering back to life, illuminating a small corner of the attic. There it was, a shadow, a silhouette shifting just beyond her grasp. "Emily?" she called, her voice trembling, gripping the letter tightly. But the shadow stepped into the narrow beam of light, revealing not her daughter but a figure she barely recognized, a young woman with haunted eyes and a sorrowful expression. She looked vaguely familiar. But who was she? "Leave now," the woman cried, her voice sharp, laced with desperation. "You don't understand what you're crossing into." Fear and confusion tangled within Martha. "Who are you? Why do you look like—" But before she could finish, the woman lunged forward, panic etched across her face. "You have to leave before it's too late. Trust me, I know him." "You can't." The words caught in her throat as the attic door burst open, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows. The atmosphere crackled with tension as the newcomer strolled into the room. He appeared confident, almost predatory, with an air of familiarity that sent Martha reeling. "Ah, the mother at last," he said with a chilling smirk, locking his gaze on her. "You shouldn't have come here. Who are you?" Martha's voice was barely above a whisper, her heart pounding. Before he could answer, a piercing scream echoed through the attic, causing the lights to flicker violently. The young woman turned, eyes wide with terror, as Martha felt a surge of dread wash over her. Had this man been the one Emily warned her about? "No," she cried out, taking a step back. "What did you do to my daughter?" The man merely chuckled, the sound hollow, betraying no remorse. It's too late for that. She was always meant to be part of something greater, something that you could never understand. Martha's fingers clawed at the letter, her mind racing through the terrifying revelations. How deep did this darkness run? What secrets lay buried beneath the dusty memories of a childhood locked away? Just as she opened her mouth to plead, the attic lights shattered in a burst of blinding white, plunging her back into the consuming darkness. She felt hands grasp her shoulders, tugging her away, the shadows thrumming with sinister energy. What was going to happen next? What price would she have to pay for the truth? Martha! The mysterious woman's voice cut through the chaos, filled with urgency. You've got to choose now. The weight of the moment pressed down like a heavy shroud. The choice loomed before her like an impossible crossroad. Would she embrace the unknown that Emily had feared, or would she flee, leaving her daughter and the truth behind? With her heart pounding, Martha gasped, "What do you mean, choose?" And as the darkness threatened to swallow her whole, the answer hung tantalizingly in the air, just out of reach. Martha felt her heart thrumming wildly against her ribcage as the brilliant light faded. The darkness enveloped her, an entity of its own, heavy and suffocating. The faint echo of the mysterious woman's plea lingered, sharpening her panic. What choice? The shadows twisted, shifting like living things intent on wrapping around her. She couldn't breathe. Every instinct screamed for her to run, to escape, but she was rooted to the spot. Choose what? She shouted into the void, forcing her voice through the knot in her throat. You're not making any sense. Trust yourself. Came the woman's anguished reply from somewhere in the black. Do you see what's at stake? Suddenly, the attic door slammed shut, the sound reverberating like a gunshot. Martha jumped, her body jerking instinctively. The figure of the man was gone. Had he slipped back into the shadows? Or had he and this strange woman been playing some twisted game? Emily, where are you? Martha screamed, the desperation in her voice thick with fear. Silence smothered her, and she felt herself grow dizzy, teetering on the brink of panic. The air swirled with an electric tension, crackling like the moments before a storm. Then, from the corner of her eye, she spotted a flicker, a red glint shimmering in the darkness. It pulsated, promising something, beckoning her to investigate. She took a hesitant step toward it, heart pounding louder than ever, echoing in her ears like the ticking of a clock counting down. Martha, the haunted voice returned, now echoing from the shadows. You have to understand. He is not who he seems, not who he seems. Martha felt anger welling up. What does that even mean? Who is he? With determination, she pushed her flashlight toward the red glimmer, illuminating the corner of the attic. It wasn't just a light. It was a small box, ornate and covered in strange symbols that looked almost ancient, as if carved by hands long gone. No, the woman cried from the darkness. Don't touch it. It's a trap. Martha hesitated, her fingers hovering just above the box. Why are you warning me? If you know so much, just tell me what I need to do. Because you're in danger. The urgency in the woman's voice sharpened. You have to trust your instincts. Use the power you have before it's too late. Inside, her mind raced. Power? What power? Did she even have any choice left? Outside, the world felt miles away. She was set against this unknown force, the walls closing in with every passing second. Suddenly, an icy wind swept through, shifting the very fabric of the darkness surrounding her. She gasped as something cold brushed against her neck. Panic surged again, and she swung around, but there was nothing, only the pulse of the red light calling to her. It was then she made a decision. Gritting her teeth to steady her trembling hands, she gripped the edges of the box and began to lift it. The instant she did, an ear-splitting scream erupted from nowhere, so visceral and filled with rage it made the floor beneath her tremble. Martha, no! The woman yelled. The shadows twisted violently, and the air felt charged with an unearthly energy, but the box would not remain still in her grasp. It rattled with a life of its own, cracking open to reveal a swirling darkness inside, as if the void itself was alive, beckoning for something or someone. "What have I done?" Martha whispered, her face pale, as dread slithered into her gut. And just as she began to understand the enormity of her actions, the attic lights flickered one last time, illuminating the man's face appearing right before her, his eyes glinting with malice and anticipation. "You've opened Pandora's box, and now the real game begins." As the darkness surged around her, Martha's breath quickened. What lay behind that shimmering void? And who was really the enemy in this twisted play? The question echoed through her mind, as heavy and foreboding as the darkness closing in. Martha's heart raced. The man before her was not just a stranger. He was an embodiment of fear and intent that suffocated her airways. The shadows curled, swallowing the flicker of light around them. Each breath felt like a mistake, a betrayal to her own instinct screaming for her to flee. "Who are you?" she managed to choke out, courage rising in her voice like steam from a boiling kettle. "What do you want?" His lips curled into a sly grin, a predator relishing its catch. "What do I want?" he echoed, savoring the question. "I want to see you understand the truth about the power you possess, my dear." He stepped closer. The air shifted again, tightening around her neck. "You've unlocked a gateway that offers knowledge and despair." The woman's anguished voice surged from the shadows. "Martha, heed my words. Do not let him manipulate you. You have the power to close it." "Close what?" She was almost shouting now, desperate for clarity. "What power? What are you talking about?" The man leaned in further, his breath icy against her skin. "The box shows what lies beyond the veil of this world. It shows the past and the future. But as all powerful things, it demands a price. And the price is steep." Martha shot a glance at the swirling darkness. Inside, she could see shapes writhing, twisted remnants of souls long lost, calling out in silence. It felt like a scream that settled deep in her chest, heavy and raw. She stumbled back a step as a rush of bitter cold brushed by her. "You have a choice," he crooned, his voice a sinister melody weaving itself around her thoughts. "You can embrace it, use it to avenge, to reclaim what was stolen from you, or you can seal it away. But at what cost?" "Reclaim what?" she asked again, agitation flooding her veins. The shadows seemed to lean in, hungry for her response. "What exactly are you suggesting?" His eyes glinted with dark amusement. "Oh, didn't your dear friend Emily mention? Your past holds secrets you've yet to uncover, secrets that can destroy or grant freedom." She gasped, recalling her daughter's absence. Could he know something about her? The woman's voice trembled, breaking through her thoughts. "Martha, if you close your heart to the darkness, you may save not just yourself, but your daughter." With that chilling revelation, the choice loomed over her like a dense fog. Heart-pounding, Martha's mind raced back to family dinners, giggles echoing down hallways, memories now heavy with an unseen cost. "Choices should not be made in fear," the woman insisted. "You must choose with love, not revenge. Remember what you sacrifice." She felt the man's gaze boring into her, a dagger of his desire to see her crumble under his influence. "Choose wisely, Martha," he whispered, the words dripping like poison. "Do you wish to embrace your power, or let it slip away?" Martha stood there, the weight of confrontation spiraling around her. The box pulsed with energy, calling out for acknowledgement. "I want to do this alone," she declared, the fire of resolve igniting within. "I trust in love, not in fear." Suddenly, the air crackled, the space around her vibrating with anticipation. Shadows surged forward, clawing at her. "Martha!"
"No."
The woman's cry pierced through the chaos, but it felt far away. Before she could react, the darkness exploded from the box, consuming the attic in a swirling tempest. "What did I just unleash?" she cried, fighting against the pull of the shadows that wrapped around her like chains. Just as darkness threatened to pull her under, she felt a flicker of light flare up in the depths of her being, igniting a glimmer of hope against the overwhelming tide. "Remember, Martha," the woman chanted through the chaos. "Your heart holds the key." But what key? And would it be enough to save them all before the entire world fell into darkness? As she gasped for breath, facing the void, Martha knew this was just the beginning. The true fight for her future and Emily's was just unfolding. The shadows were waiting, but she wouldn't let them win without a battle. Could she find that key before time ran out? The shadows roared with a deafening rush, swallowing the light like a mouth eager for sustenance. Martha fought against the swirling chaos, her entire body trembling with fear and determination. The coldness seeped into her bones, freezing her fears and doubts, yet deep inside, a warmth ignited a flicker of defiance. "Stay strong, Martha. Focus on the light." The woman's voice echoed, stronger now, cutting through the chaos like a knife. It was both a command and a reassurance, grounding her as she felt the darkness pulse and throb, a living entity craving her submission. Martha clenched her fists, each finger digging into her palm as she fought against the shadows that clawed and whispered. "You won't take me," she shouted into the void, hardly recognizing her own voice. The man smirked, unfazed by her declaration. "Such spirit. But that fire will only draw them closer. You see, the more you resist, the more powerful they become. They feed on fear, and you're a banquet." A rush of adrenaline shot through her.
She would not be a feast. Not now.
Not ever. She remembered Emily's laughter, warm and bright like sunshine breaking through clouds. "I won't fail her," Martha yelled again, her voice rising above the roar of the shadows. The darkness surrounded her, nearly suffocating, but she closed her eyes. In the depths of her mind, she searched for that flicker of light the woman had urged her to find. It was a memory hazy, yet bright. It flickered like a candle in a storm, but it was there, and it was hers. Love, not fear. Suddenly, a surge of warmth enveloped her, a protective cocoon that pushed back against the encroaching blackness. She opened her eyes, and the shadows recoiled, hissing like a wounded animal. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, the heat in her voice growing steadier. "Your essence," the man replied smoothly. "You are the key. Your acceptance, your willingness to embrace both light and dark, can bend the world between the realms. Without it, everything will become chaos." His words stung with a terrible truth. If she surrendered, she would indeed face destruction. But if she embraced her full self, the hidden power within, perhaps she could salvage not only her soul, but also save Emily. The woman's voice rang back clearly. "Martha, you have the strength within. You are not just a victim. You are a warrior." With newfound resolve, Martha thrust her hands toward the encroaching shadows. "I am not afraid of you. I embrace my light. I choose love." Light exploded from her fingertips, casting away the darkness like cloudy fog under the sun. It bathed the room in brilliant white, illuminating the twisted souls lurking in the shadows. They shrieked, writhing, as the sunlight struck them. Suddenly, Martha felt a pull behind her, instinctively turning to see the box glowing fiercely. It pulsed rhythmically, beckoning her. But it wasn't just the shadows she had to confront. It was the truth waiting within. "Reach for it, Martha. You can mend what was broken, understand what truly resides in your past." But could she handle the weight of that knowledge? What if it crushed something deep inside her? She hesitated, the question reverberating in her chest. Then the shadows resumed their assault, climbing higher and wilder, pushing against the remnants of her light. "Martha, you can't wait," the woman cried out, desperation tinging her voice. Martha's heart thundered. Light, darkness, the box that was the crossroads. With a deep breath, she lunged toward the glowing box. "What will I find?" she thought, the weight of the unknown daunting. The moment she touched it, visions began to flood her mind, a kaleidoscope of memories and futures swirling crazily. But in that blinding flash, a voice whispered a haunting and cold reminder of things she feared. "Your choice determines their fate." As she stood on the precipice, heart racing, she understood this trial was just the beginning. Every secret from that box pulled her closer to a startling truth she might not be ready for. What awaited her in that light? Would it reveal the path to saving Emily or cast her deeper into darkness? With one last look at the shadows writhing around her like a haunting specter, she took a leap of faith. Would the truth be the key she sought, or would it lead her to greater despair? The moment her fingers brushed the surface of the glowing box, an electric shock coursed through Martha's body. It was as if reality itself had fractured. Colors flashed, sounds blended into a chaotic roar, and the very air thickened with tension. She felt herself being yanked into a memory, a bright summer day, filled with laughter and joy. There was Emily, her hair bouncing in the wind, her smile wide and infectious.
"Mom,
"Come see." Emily's voice sang out, and for a moment, Martha was transported back in time, a witness to her daughter's unrestrained happiness. But the warmth faded, dark edges creeping in as shadows darted in her peripheral vision. They were angry and restless, ready to consume her cheer. "Focus," she reminded herself, eyes squeezed shut against the gathering storm. She recalled the woman's urging voice echoing in her mind like a distant lighthouse cutting through fog. "You have the strength." Harnessing that thought, Martha dug deep. She clung to the memory, willing herself to find the joy nestled within it. With every beat of her heart, she pushed back against the shadows that threatened to engulf her. "I choose to remember," she murmured, her breath growing steadier. As she did, the kaleidoscope of visions shifted again. It was no longer just a bright day. Now the world began to unravel. She stood before a door marked with a heavy, ominous weight, a family's secret locked inside. Disturbing images flickered, a fight she tried to forget, harsh words exchanged. Her parents, Emily, caught in the crossfire. The anger, the tears.
no."
"I want to be defined by this," Martha screamed, the shadows thrumming with palpable delight at her pain. "You can't hide." The man's voice echoed, slithering through her resolve like poison. "Accept who you are. Embrace the darkness inside. Only then can you control it." She felt the ground tremble beneath her as shadows twisted and turned, striking fear into her heart. But she realized the truth in his words. The darkness was a part of her. Digging her heels in, Martha accepted it. "I want to let it control me." Bright light exploded around her, illuminating the swirling chaos. It amplified, engulfing the sinister shadows, pushing them back like waves receding from the shore. Each flicker illuminated horrible truths she had buried deep. But along with the dark, she saw clear moments of love, tenderness, and joy intermingled her essence. The mysteries of her past were wrapped within the light, begging to be released. "Reveal everything," Martha shouted at the box, feeling a surge of courage she had never known before. "I'm ready." As she spoke, the world around her trembled violently. The shadows howled, clawing at her resolve, seeking to pull her back into oblivion. They were relentless. Martha's heart raced within her chest. She would no longer be their victim. In that split second, the box began to open, crackling light spilling forth and mingling with the darkness. The air changed, filled with the scent of rain and the promise of revelations, and she felt both exhilaration and dread. This moment was meant to be transformative, but would it be liberating or destructive? As the contents shifted and writhed before her very eyes, Martha gasped. Faces appeared, a multitude of faces she recognized. They were the people from her past, immersed in the memories that had haunted her for years. A child's laughter echoed, a mother's embrace lingered, but with its surface the grief she'd packed away. The shadows hissed, sensing the shift. "You are not prepared for the truth," they screeched, their harsh tones reverberating through her mind. With her heart pounding in her ears, she took a deep breath. "Bring it, you'll not claim me today." The box glowed brighter as she prepared herself, digging her heels into the ground, readying for whatever storm was to come. There was no turning back, only the uncertain path forward. What would she learn about the one she loved, and what dark secrets would bubble to the surface? As the light enveloped her, she braced for the truth and its consequences. Would it finally set her free, or lead her into an abyss she might never escape? Martha drew in a shaky breath, her heart racing as the bright light from the box swirled around her. She felt an unyielding pull, like its energy sought to illuminate the deepest corners of her soul. With each pulse, the shadows hissed, screaming for dominance, but she wouldn't let fear have its way anymore.
Bring it,
she shouted, her voice firm, clambering over the cacophony of the opposing forces. I choose to embrace my truth. The shadows convulsed at the challenge, the air surging thick with tension as if the world were holding its breath. As the light intensified, memories erupted from the depths of the box like fireflies escaping a jar. Flash after flash, they danced around her, revealing moments of laughter, tears, shared meals stained with love, and sorrow, each fragment a piece of her life left scattered. She could see the faces of her family gazing at her, filled with a mixture of devotion and hurt. Among them, Emily stood. Her sweet smile shimmered, a tether from the past pulling Martha closer.
Mom.
The memory of her daughter called, vibrant and earnest. Don't let them take away our love. The shadows recoiled. They surged forward, shrieking, you can't save her. You have to give in.
No.
Martha countered, lifting her chin defiantly. Suddenly, she recognized the truth they threatened to keep hidden. I've been afraid of you, but with each word, her power grew. You're part of my story. The shadows writhed, attempting to ensnare her thoughts, but a surge of warmth traveled through her veins, urging her to strip away the fear. The memories encapsulated in the glowing box filled her with light. I know you, just as I know love and kindness. I can face whatever you are. A deafening sound erupted as the light from the box cascaded outward, sweeping around her like a protective wave. The shadows shrieked, twisting and crumbling as they collided with Martha's light.
Mom.
Don't look back. Emily's voice echoed once more, encouraging her, giving her the strength to move forward. Stand with me. Together. As if her very presence ignited a fiery bond, Martha felt the light growing brighter, enveloping every painful regret and every past wrongdoing. In that moment, the darkness lost its power over her, splintering and collapsing upon itself as memories of loss were brushed away by the clarity of hope for reconnection and healing. Together, Martha proclaimed, reaching into the heart of the radiant light, feeling Emily's spirit alongside her. We will break this curse. In one decisive action, Martha hurled the surviving threads of shadows against the shining core of her memories. They erupted in an implosion of sweeping light that echoed through the attic, shaking everything around her. It was as if a storm had discharged, reclaiming every lost fragment of her heart. And then, stillness fell. Martha opened her eyes, blinking against the soft glow that now filled the attic, illuminating every crevice with warmth. The shadows were gone, dissolved into nothingness, as if they never existed. Confidently, she approached the radiating box, seeing the last remnants of darkness dissipate into thin air, replaced by memories that brought lightness to her heart. In the corner of the attic stood the young woman. This time, she looked whole, relaxed, and filled with warmth. You did it, she said, pride glowing in her eyes. You faced what you feared most and released the darkness that chained you. You freed yourself, and in doing so, you freed Emily. Emily, Martha breathed, the name curling around her heart like a sweet melody. She took a step forward, feeling a lightness she hadn't experienced in years, the aching void now filled with possibility. Suddenly, the air shimmered and warped, and there she stood, Emily, as real as the love that buoyed Martha's spirit. Their eyes met, and the barriers built over the years melted away like morning fog.
Mom.
Emily rushed to her, enveloping Martha in an embrace that felt like coming home. They held each other tight, tears mingling with laughter, an echo of everything stolen, everything forgiven. I've missed you. Martha choked, feeling the weight of 7 years lift away. I never meant to hurt you. I was lost. Emily pulled back, holding Martha's face in her hands, their eyes sparkling with recognition of the journey made together. I know, Mom.
I know.
We can move forward now. Together, the attic felt anew, filled with the weight of love instead of sorrow. The scent of fresh air swirled as if the house itself had awakened, an old chapter closing, paving the way for a new beginning. Martha and Emily stepped back into the light together, no longer bound by the past but intertwined in a hopeful future. As they stood side by side, sharing whispers and laughter, Martha felt the urgency of gratitude course through her. Life could be a beautiful mess, full of upheaval, and through it all, they had emerged stronger. "Mom," Emily said thoughtfully, "we can tell our story. Heal others who might be lost like we were." "Yes," Martha replied, determination shining in her voice. "It's time to share our journey, to help others find their way home." And so, hand in hand, they walked into the light, ready to embrace every moment together. Now, as you reflect on this journey alongside Martha and Emily, let's connect again. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that can touch your heart just like this one. Smash that like button now to support the channel and feed the algorithm so others will find their own light. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Martha and Emily's journey or engagement. Makes all the difference. Finally, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Your friends will thank you.